Hello and welcome to RAMF1. This is the first video of what's going to be a season-long series of mini season reports. Or every 2 to 3 races, I am going to review those last 3 races and rate how each team has done and how each individual driver has done over the course of those last 2 to 3 races. Mercedes. They have done a good job in this first 3 races, with 3 victories. Not the 3-1-2s which is what they've been hoping for, but they've had a solid performance. The only real mistake they've made was perhaps tactical error in the Austrian Grand Prix number 1, where they maybe perhaps should have pitted either Hamilton or Bottas to avoid the situation they had with Albon. However, other than that, the rest of their tactical scenarios have been done correctly, and they built a very, very quick car and should be very happy with themselves. I give them an A. Lewis Hamilton. He's had quite a good start to the season. That first round in Austria was quite sloppy, and only getting a 4th in the end will be a bit of disappointment. But races 2 and 3, utter domination. And after I've worked all that out, I'm going to give them an A. Valtteri Bottas. He started well, first race of the season, did quite well, got slightly lucky with the victory over the Hamilton-Albon incident, but did overall quite well. Second place in the second race would be a slight disappointment, but again, he did fairly well. However, that third race in Hungary was a bit of another very quite poor performance after, especially that poor race start. Only finishing third in the end, and struggling to get past Verstappen, and also struggling to get past Stroll earlier in the race. So for those reasons, and for being behind his teammates in the championship, I give him a B. Red Bull. They did have a poor first race with a double DNF from 2 mechanical failures. They did put Albon on the correct strategy had it all gone to plan, however it did not, so I can't really give them too much credit for that. Races 2 and 3 though, they did much better and probably where they expected to be in those races, arguably better with Verstappen. So overall, I'll give them a B. Max Verstappen. He's had a good start to the season. First race we disappointed with that DNF, but that was out of his control and nothing to do with him. Then a third and a second in the following 2 races is a much better performance, and very, very good performance there by him. He's performed as well as he possibly could be in the car that he has available to him. I'll give him an A. Alex Albon. First race, had a good race up until the point where he ended up crashing into Hamilton. Hamilton was the worst case for that, so he could have done a bit better, but we disappointed. Second race he did okay, but was still quite far off Verstappen's pace. And then third race was even further off Verstappen's pace, so overall I'm going to have to give him a C. McLaren. They had a very good first round, on par second round, and then a slightly more disappointing third round, picking up only 2 points in that third race. So overall, I'm going to give them a B. Carlos Sainz. He had a solid first race with a good P5, and we'll be happy with that, but the 2 P9 performances the following 2 races are slightly below where both him and McLaren will hope they would be, so overall I'm going to give him a C. Lando Norris. He had a very good first race with a 3rd place, followed up by a very good 5th place as well in the second race. However, third race was slightly more disappointing with a P13, so overall I'm going to have to give him a B. Racing Point. They've had a solid start this season, better than what they've usually started with these 41 points they've picked up. However, they do appear to have what could be the 2nd or 3rd fastest car at some races, and would have been hoping for a bit more than just the 40 points that they've picked up so far. So for that, I'll probably have to give them a C. Sergio Perez. He's had a solid start to the season. Picked up 2 6th places and a 7th. Very solid performance. He'll be happy. The team will probably be happy, though they'd probably want slightly higher and would probably maybe wanted a podium out of something at this stage. However, it's being a bit harsh, so I'll have to give him a B. Lance Stroll had a very good start to the season compared to some of his starts to the season over the past few years. DNF in the first race due to mechanical failure out of his control. Then followed up by a 7th, and then was an arguably quite good 4th in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Would have hoped to have maybe got the podium, but the car didn't seem to have that much wet pace. But he'll take the good 4th place. So overall, I'm going to give him a B. Ferrari. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Currently languishing in 5th place in the championship, they have really not got off to the greatest of starts. And due to some tactical errors, especially with Leclerc, and if Vettel hadn't intervened as well in Hungary, they could have been really far down. So overall, after building such a terrible car without the money they have, I've got to give them an E. Sebastian Vettel had a very poor first race with a 10th. Then that second race where he got crashed into by Leclerc, I can't really say too much about it, and was overall just a very terrible race for both him and his teammate. Race 3, his overruling of the tactical change with the tyres compared to his teammate allowed him to get a very solid performance and get a 6th place. But overall, it's been a very mediocre start to the season, so I have to give Sebastian Vettel a C. Charles Leclerc. Good 2nd place in that first race when that car is really nowhere near coming 2nd, so very good job there. However, the DNF crash by himself in that 2nd race and then a P11 in the 3rd race, despite especially with the team's tactical failings, it's really not been that great a start overall for him and his team, so I have to give him a C. Renault. They've had a rather poor start to the season. They would probably be hoping to get a bit more than the current 12 points they've had, with 2 almost identical failures between the 2 Austrian Grand Prix that we had, and only picking up 3 8th places is not really where they'd be wanting to be, and they really need to get some more double points finishes before the end of the season. So for this reason, over the last few races, I give them a D. Daniel Ricciardo. He's had a solid start to the season. He's been outperforming his teammate quite well in all 3 races so far. First race he had the mechanical DNF, so that put him out of the race. But then 2 8th place following that. Decent starts he's had, so I'm going to give him a B. Esteban Ocon. He's had quite a poor return to the sport, really. 8th place in that first race was rather lucky, and then followed up by the mechanical DNF when he wasn't performing that great, and a 14th. He's not really performed that well so far on his return, so unfortunately I'm going to have to give him a D. AlphaTauri. They've had a mediocre start to the season, but a solid start for a team as small as them towards the back of the grid. Picked up 7 points so far, made some slight tactical decisions incorrectly with Gasly of not having a plan B on what to do if it was dry on the formation lap and what the instructions were supposed to be. And they've had some reliability problems with Gasly, so overall I'll give them a C. Daniil Kvyat. He's only picked up 1 point so far, but he's performed arguably a bit better than that. First race he was slightly unlucky, being taken out by Ocon in a sort of racing incident, sort of crash. Second race picked up a point and fought quite well for that point. Third race he was slightly more disappointed with only a P12, but the car just didn't have the pace at that race. So I'll give him a C. Pierre Gasly. He's had, again, also a solid start to the season. P7 in that first race, quite well deserved, followed by a rather poor P15 in the second race. Third race, he was slightly better, but all the engines kept blowing up for him, so overall, again, I'll have to give him a C. Alfa Romeo. They've had a rather poor start to the season, only picking up 2 points so far, and they'll probably be hoping for a bit more than that, to be honest. I'm going to have to give them, for what's quite frankly a very poor performance and arguably a very slow car, a D. Kimi Räikkönen. Again, poor start for him. DNF in that first race, which was arguably out of control with the wheel coming off. But then a P11 and a rather poor P15. Not really the best out of him so far this season. You'd expect him to have picked up a few points so far and with him currently being on 0, can't really give him much higher than a D, to be honest. So that's what it is, a D. Antonio Giovinazzi. He's had a okay start to the season. Good solid 9th place in that first race, in that race of attrition, but good to get it overall. Then followed by 2 slightly poorer 14th and 17th. I've had to drag it down a bit, but the fact he has scored points, I have to give him a C. Haas. They had a very poor first race with the brakes failing on both cars, and that was a very, very big disappointment for the team to have both cars DNF for the same issue. Second race was slightly better, but still rather poor. At least managed to get to the finish that time. Third race, tactical masterstroke. Very, very well done with that. Putting both Magnussen and Grosjean onto the dries at the start of the race. We'll be disappointed with the penalties, but overall, I think they'll be mediumly happy with that for the start of the season, even if the car is a bit slower than what they would expect it to be compared to last year. So I'll give them a C. Romain Grosjean. He had a poor first race with that DNF because of the brake failure. Second race, an okay 13th, and then the third race, P16. However, he did do a good job of slowing down the cars that were coming after his teammates, so even though he did not get the point in the end, he did do a good job in giving his teammate a good opportunity to get that point. So, with all that taken into consideration, I'll give him a C. Kevin Magnussen. Could have been the same brake issue as his teammate did in that first race, then beat his teammate to come 12th in the second race, and then in that third race he had that very, very good singular point to 10th place finish after the penalty, but that was a very good performance, and he held off a lot faster cars for a significant amount of the race, and had things been a bit different, he may have had the car being a bit faster, he may have been able to pull off a slightly better performance there, but he's done well there. I give him a B. Williams. They've had an okay start to the season. The car seems to have a bit more pace than it has had in the last couple of years. They will be a bit disappointed that the race pace is still not particularly great, but there is signs that there could be some improvement now, so I'll give them a C. George Russell. He's had a okay start to the season, arguably quite good actually. With qualifying, he's been very quick. Slightly more disappointing in the races, but that's just due to the pace of the car. DNF in that first race was out of his control, and then he's beaten his teammate in the 2 races following that, so I'll give him a B. Nicholas Latifi. He's had a okay debut season so far. Car hasn't exactly given enough race pace to really show too much, as he's finished last out of the finishes in all 3 races, but he has made the finish in all 3 races. His qualifying has been improving, still slower than Russell, but not too much. I think he deserves some plaudits for what he's done. He's doing an okay job, even if the third race in Hungary was a bit more hectic, having to do all those stops, and in fact turning the race into a test session and finishing 5 laps down. However, he's doing an okay job so far. I'll give him a C. And there you have it, the first video on this channel. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more videos like it, please subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the show, and there'll be the next video in 3 weeks' time, though I'm planning to potentially do a Q&A between then. And I hope to potentially get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so the more people that subscribe, the closer I'm going to get to that, so please do. Anyway, goodbye for now.